We are constantly taught the importance of giving to others, sharing, and prioritizing generosity over our own desires. But have you ever stopped to consider the dangers of being overly kind? We live in a society where we don't always receive what we offer, as the world is full of people who, in their generosity, end up exhausting their financial resources and energy by giving without thinking, without measuring the consequences. If you're new here, please subscribe and like the video, as that helps keep the channel active and allows me to continue creating content like this. Now, can excessive generosity actually put our own lives at risk? Get ready to be surprised by the negative effects that unrestrained kindness can bring. Today, I'll reveal 8 things that happen when you are too kind, and also share 4 strategies based on Stoic philosophy to prevent people from taking advantage of you. Let's get started without further ado. First, unrealistic expectations. Stoics have always emphasized the importance of accepting things as they are and not depending on others' actions to find happiness. When you give without expecting anything in return, you minimize the chances of feeling frustrated and practice emotional detachment, which brings us more peace. Imagine this. You dedicate yourself to being generous and kind, always giving your best to others, but without expecting anything in return. This is a noble attitude, but often, even without realizing it, we end up expecting others to respond in kind. We hope for recognition, reciprocity, or even that people will respond with the same level of generosity. What happens when these expectations are not met? The problem lies in the expectations we create by believing that others should reciprocate in the same way we do. This puts us in a vulnerable position. While it's natural to want people to acknowledge our efforts, Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control others' behavior, only our actions and reactions. It's challenging to be entirely altruistic in our generosity because, even unintentionally, when we give everything, we expect others to do the same. Over time, we become so accustomed to doing for others that we take on responsibilities that are not ours. After all, why would they take on their own responsibilities? What happens is that your expectations of reciprocity go unmet, leaving you feeling frustrated, exhausted, and disappointed. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness comes from giving without expecting anything in return, finding joy in the act of helping itself, regardless of how others respond. Number 2, people will expect you to always give something. Stoics advocate the concept of moderation, which serves as a true anchor in a sea of demands. Instead of yielding to every request from those around us, Stoicism guides us to balance our generosity so that, in giving, we can maintain control over our actions and avoid behaviors that harm our well-being. Often, we adapt to situations that are comfortable for others, and this is where the idea of the comfort zone comes into play. If we constantly take on others' responsibilities, we allow them to remain in their comfort zone, avoiding challenges and personal growth. They know we will always be there to help. But the problem isn't just with others, it's also with ourselves. By neglecting our own needs and priorities, we become trapped in a cycle of constant giving, receiving little in return. This depletes our emotional energy and harms us. Practicing moderation and balanced generosity allows you to control your actions without overwhelming yourself, while also keeping your emotional health intact. If you get used to giving without limits, people will start to expect this all the time. It's crucial to know where to set boundaries. By doing so, you can give in a healthy way, maintaining your well-being while also encouraging others to grow and take on their responsibilities. True generosity happens when we can balance helping others without sacrificing our own needs. Number 3, your priorities may be neglected. For the Stoics, living based on reason and virtue is essential. Setting boundaries and prioritizing what truly matters to us is a way to avoid sacrificing our authenticity and well-being for others. If you constantly place others' priorities above your own, you may begin to flee from something within you that causes discomfort. The fear of dealing with difficult emotions, such as emptiness or loneliness, can be immense. These moments of solitude can leave us feeling a sense of lack, and that's when many of us seek refuge in others' needs, trying to fill that internal space through helping others. This constant practice of prioritizing others' needs can leave you feeling exhausted and lost, without any space to care for yourself. The truth is that when we give too much to others, we may neglect our own emotional needs, which only heightens feelings of frustration. Therefore, Stoic philosophy warns us, maintaining a practice of balanced generosity is vital. not only for our emotional well-being, but also to avoid falling into the trap of living for others' needs, while ignoring what truly matters for our mental and emotional health. Excessive generosity can lead to frustrated expectations, emotional burnout, and neglect of our own needs. Stoicism teaches us to give without expecting anything in return, to practice self-care, and to balance our actions to maintain our inner peace. Remember, being generous is a virtue, but it's also important to be wise and learn to balance generosity with self-care. The price of continuously surrendering to the constant quest to please others is very high. You end up losing yourself along the way. Your inner voice gets drowned out by external pressures, and eventually, when you face the calm of your own essence, the pain and fear you've been trying to avoid reveal themselves in full force. It's crucial to understand that taking care of our own needs and prioritizing what is important to us is not an act of selfishness. On the contrary, it is a form of self-compassion and a preservation of our true essence. The Stoics teach us to establish boundaries and live according to our own principles, which is an act of self-love and the path to a genuine life. The next time the temptation to flee from who you truly are arises, as you get lost in constant service to others, pause, recognize the uncomfortable emotions that arise in moments of solitude and accept them with kindness. Don't fear feeling and connecting with your truth. Allow yourself to be authentic in your needs and desires. Set healthy boundaries and learn to say no when necessary. You'll find that by valuing yourself and respecting your own limits, your generosity will come from a place of balance and fulfillment, enabling you to offer something genuine to others. Number 4, you may be seen as weak and treated as such. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate inner strength and the discipline needed to maintain our boundaries. If you give too much over time, you might even be perceived as an authority figure in your workplace, but this can backfire. The lack of clear boundaries may lead people to see this as a weakness. Instead of respecting you, they may start to take advantage of your kindness, viewing you as someone willing to bear the weight of others' responsibilities without question. This can lead to constant fatigue, overwhelm, and frustration. When you begin to assert your boundaries firmly but respectfully, something transformative happens. People start to see you differently. You stop being the sacrificial one who does everything without complaint. Now you are viewed as someone who values themselves enough to protect their space and needs someone who deserves to be treated with respect and consideration. This recognition of your stance is crucial. By beginning to say no, you change how others perceive you. You are no longer a victim of endless demands. Instead, you are a strong individual capable of protecting yourself and asserting your worth. Respect comes not just from doing for others, but also from how you treat yourself. By establishing clear boundaries and practicing self-discipline, you send a direct message that you deserve to be treated with dignity. The next time your boundaries are tested, remember the strength that lies within that little word, no. When you say it, you are defending yourself, affirming your value, and preserving your balance. Number 5, you may have many people around you, but they will only show up when they need something. When you become someone willing to help without expecting anything in return, those around you start to notice. However, this attention can have a dark side. Friends who once enjoyed your company might begin to exclude you from social activities, contacting you only when they need something. This behavior, while painful, is not uncommon. Typically, people do not invite coworkers or collaborators to leisure moments. Such invitations are usually reserved for close friends or family, individuals with whom there is a genuine bond. This shift in treatment can be frustrating and in many cases unfair. You find yourself in a position where you offer help without reservation, only to realize that when it comes to fun moments, you are left out. This selective treatment can lead to feelings of sadness and even betrayal. However, from a Stoic perspective, this type of situation is an opportunity to develop your discernment. It challenges you to recognize who truly values your friendship and who is merely taking advantage of your generosity. It's important to remember that Stoicism does not advocate distrust, but rather a deep understanding of human behavior. Through discernment, you can choose to help those who genuinely need your assistance and who truly value your support. This not only preserves your energy, but also fosters a circle of friendships with people who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can provide. This challenge is an opportunity to practice Stoic self-discipline, to establish clear boundaries, and to consciously decide how you want to spend your time and energy. By focusing on people who truly value what you have to offer, You create a space where generosity becomes something genuine and reciprocal. In this way, you will live more in line with Stoic principles, finding peace and satisfaction in human relationships without sacrificing your authenticity. This process of reflecting on who deserves our attention and effort helps us surround ourselves with people who truly want us for who we are, not just for what we can give. Ultimately, Stoic philosophy guides us to practice generosity in a balanced and conscious manner, creating a space of mutual respect while preserving our emotional and mental well-being. Therefore, as you begin to establish these boundaries and practice healthy self-care, you will be creating a more balanced life where your needs are as important as those of others. This not only strengthens your essence, but also makes your relationships deeper and more sincere, based on respect and mutual understanding. This type of realization may hurt at first, but it is a clear sign that you are emotionally maturing. And if you are determined to continue on this journey with greater awareness, balance, and respect for yourself, leave a comment. I will proceed with wisdom. This way, you mark a commitment to your own evolution, not to impress anyone, but to build a lighter and more genuine life. Now back to our lesson. Number 6. You will attract only people who need something and never those willing to offer help. According to Stoic teachings, our actions and thoughts emit energy that attracts people with similar frequencies to ours. When we cultivate a positive mindset and maintain an even keel, our energy emits high vibrations that attract equally positive individuals, such as those who are generous, enthusiastic, and authentic. Conversely, when we give ourselves indiscriminately to others, we end up depleting ourselves physically and emotionally. This causes our energy to diminish, leading us to vibrate at a lower frequency, which attracts people who are similarly needy, clingy, and often exploitative. These individuals, unlike those seeking balanced and reciprocal relationships, approach us solely to meet their own needs. Furthermore, this lower frequency also attracts opportunistic people who have no intention of helping but see us as an easy source to achieve their goals. The key to avoiding this trap, according to Stoic philosophy, is discernment and self-control. We need to learn to recognize when we are giving too much and when our energies are running low. This involves setting clear boundaries and practicing moderation in our generosity. When we manage to balance our capacity to give with the need to maintain our energy levels, we attract people who genuinely value our authenticity and are willing to contribute to the relationship in a balanced way. By practicing a more conscious and balanced generosity, we create genuine bonds based on respect and reciprocity, rather than exploitation. These authentic relationships are more satisfying because they are built on a foundation of mutual respect, where both parties value each other equally. When we embrace the principles of Stoicism and connect with the right people, we can experience true human connection, free from emotional overload and the feeling of being exploited. Number 7. You might become addicted. Stoicism warns us about the risks of falling into vices and constantly reminds us of the importance of moderation and self-control. When we thoughtlessly give ourselves to our actions and allow generosity to become a vicious cycle, we risk seeking relief through harmful behaviors. The practice of self-discipline is crucial to avoid falling into patterns that could harm our emotional and physical health. By living according to Stoic principles, we learn that generosity must be balanced. When we give too much without considering our own needs, we become vulnerable to addictive behaviors, such as overeating, excessive drinking, or resorting to destructive distractions. Stoicism teaches us to be attentive to the signs that indicate we are losing our balance. Often these signs come from close friends who alert us to our behaviors. If someone you trust tells you that you are overextending yourself and harming yourself, it's important to listen and reflect on that. Our initial impulse may be to deny the problem, especially when we are caught in the cycle of an emerging addiction. However, accepting these criticisms with humility and gratitude is an important step towards self-awareness. By doing this, we practice Stoic principles that teach us to maintain moderation and not succumb to harmful behaviors. Self-care and discipline are essential to ensure that our generosity does not lead us to exhaustion. Always remember that people who care about you do so with the intention of helping you grow and live a fuller life. By taking their concerns seriously, you demonstrate your commitment to your own growth and well-being, contributing to your long-term happiness. Number 8. You will awaken suspicions. Stoicism teaches us to act with virtue, independently, without seeking approval or recognition from others. However, when we follow this path, others may see us with suspicion. By focusing on living according to our principles and values, we are building a reputation based on our integrity, something that is often difficult for everyone to understand. Genuine-hearted people are not so common, so if you are one of them, you may end up arousing distrust. Initially, people may even show admiration and gratitude for your stance, but soon they will start to wonder what's wrong, questioning your intentions and looking for something hidden in your actions. This behavior may signal that you have come into contact with a distrustful group of people, which is quite likely. Often, individuals with dubious intentions hide themselves, making it even more important for you to maintain distance from these people without giving in to false offers of help. An important strategy to deal with this is to pay attention to your feelings. According to Stoic teachings, self-reflection is fundamental. By noticing how you feel about your actions, you can realize when you are giving more than you should and beginning to feel emotionally drained. If, while helping, you feel overwhelmed, irritated, or used, this is a clear sign that something needs to be adjusted. Stoic philosophy teaches us that it is essential to listen to ourselves and pay attention to our feelings. When we practice this self-analysis, we become aware of when we are exceeding our own limits and can correct our approach before we feel exhausted. Thinking of ourselves is not an act of selfishness, but rather a way to ensure that our help is genuine and beneficial for both parties. When you feel at peace and fulfilled, your assistance is more authentic, without the sensation of sacrificing unnecessarily. In summary, Stoic philosophy teaches us to live in a balanced way, practice generosity with discernment, and take care of our emotional health. By doing so, we create deeper and more authentic relationships based on mutual respect and true reciprocity. Thus, we can maintain our energy levels, ward off negative influences, and cultivate a happier and more balanced life. Strategy number 2, overcome the fear of the word no. According to Stoic teachings, it is important to understand that our time and energy are precious and need to be used wisely. In situations where you feel overwhelmed, or when someone's request is not fair, it is essential to learn how to say no. This does not mean being rude, but rather an act of self-control and respect for oneself. Although the word no often carries a negative or pessimistic connotation, it is vital for protecting what is most important to you, your peace of mind and well-being. Often we feel uncomfortable refusing, fearing we might hurt others or appear selfish. However, if we do not develop this ability to say no, we risk losing ourselves in commitments that drain us physically and emotionally. A refusal, when made respectfully, can be the key to regaining our freedom, avoiding unnecessary overload and risks that can affect our mental and physical health. A good practice to reinforce this idea is to stand in front of a mirror and repeat no out loud, exercising this skill. Over time, you will realize that it is the only way to maintain a healthy balance between our responsibilities and our need for time for ourselves. Strategy number 3, there is a time and place for everything. Self-discipline and self-respect are fundamental, as Stoicism teaches us. It is crucial to set aside moments to care for yourself, relax and recharge. Engage in activities that bring you joy and tranquility. Practice yoga, draw, listen to good music while sipping a cup of tea, whatever motivates and relaxes you. The most important thing is to ensure that you have this personal time for yourself. This time should not be seen as something negotiable, but rather as a serious commitment to your well-being. Schedule it just like you would an important meeting or any other obligation that requires your attention. When someone asks for help during this reserved time, they should be understanding and respectful of your need for space. If you feel uncomfortable outright refusing, you can suggest an alternative time to help, but always make it clear that you have your own life and need this time to take care of yourself. Strategy number 4, identify the energy vampires and distance yourself from them. Within Stoic philosophy, it is essential to use discernment to recognize which relationships are draining your energy. Some people constantly approach us with complaints, problems, and a negative outlook on life, and these relationships can emotionally exhaust us. They are not interested in seeking solutions to their difficulties, but rather in remaining trapped in a cycle of complaints and suffering. By surrounding ourselves with chronic complainers, we end up absorbing that negativity, which can harm our mental and physical health. That's why Stoicism teaches us to distance ourselves from these energy suckers. While we may have the goodwill to help, we must understand that not everyone is willing to change or seek a solution. Trying to help someone who is not open to growth or change will only wear us out without yielding any positive results. By stepping back from these individuals, we protect our energy and inner peace, which is essential for maintaining a balanced life. Stoic wisdom suggests that balance is always the best option. Generosity, for instance, needs to be moderated. If we give too little, we may come across as selfish or indifferent. But if we give too much, we risk completely exhausting ourselves, both emotionally and physically. Therefore, it is important to find a middle ground, a healthy balance between giving to others and taking care of ourselves. And when in doubt, the word no will always be an important ally in helping us maintain that balance. The importance of saying no. When we learn to say no confidently, we protect our own needs without feeling guilty. Generosity does not mean draining ourselves. It means finding ways to help without compromising our own well-being.
By applying these strategies in our daily lives, we can live more balanced, in harmony with the teachings of Stoicism, and cultivate healthier and more enduring relationships. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comment below. This helps us reach more people like you and continue creating relevant content in the future.